My name's Tom Miller. I was part of cohort 5 with my friend Shaker Pula. Denny was my advisor, and I had a great experience, much like many of you. And I want to talk today about an opportunity that I think organizations have to make themselves more human, using a tactic that is historic, it's endemic to who we are, but too many organizations are ignoring it and aren't doing a good job with it. So I want to, as we go through this, I want to start by asking you a question, or to think about something. When have you felt most human? Is it gardening, or on a bike, or at a Seattle Seahawks football game? There's a place where we all can go, in our minds at least, that really causes us to breathe and to connect with who we are. And too often, organizations ignore that opportunity to connect to that emotion. So we heard this morning about industrial revolutions, and Chris did a great job of walking us through history. And we're in this third revolution now that started in about 1960, and it's information technology and it's biotechnology. And I'd suggest that it also is a revolution about humanity. We're in an era, not to recover all of that ground, but in an era where we've got choices now. Many of us have choices. And we used to have two brains, a work brain and a home brain. We'd go to work and put our work brain in, and we'd function the way that we thought the organization wanted us to function. And we'd go home and we'd put our home brain in and then live our lives. Now we have opportunities to be whole at work. And organizations that are enabling people to feel whole are benefiting. So using symbols as opportunities, as tools to connect us to who we are when we're working and when we're doing the things that we do. So they've been around forever, right? So one of the earliest things that have been used to communicate, as far back as we can go into time, we can see symbols being used. Many of them are visual. They help us to connect to people that are like us. So we have used words, we have used buildings, we have used tattoos, a recent resurgence in tattoos. So you're seeing people do things to say, this is who I am, and this is where I belong. So we're self-selecting, we're self-identifying, and it's a huge need we have as individuals. So we build monuments to ourselves or to groups of people. We do what we can. So when there's great wealth, we can build great monuments. We identify with people that have aspirations that we have or that we want to cheer on. So sometimes we even fight about that, right? So we can identify with one tribe, or we can identify with another, and we can kind of go to war over that. But at their core, what are symbols? So those things in your mind where you feel human, or when you're part of something that is meaningful, what are the symbols that help us know what that's about? And I'd position that symbols are really stories. They're a way to visualize very quickly, or in a sentence, to communicate something that is whole. So an idea, a belief, a system, a structure, a group of people that is representative. So what can a company do to meet the needs of one person? Because most organizations, you get an organization that's at least two, and sometimes you add zeros to that. So how does a company take an individual and cause them to connect, or allow them to connect, enable them to connect in some kind of an environment, when we've all got this individual DNA that says Tom's going to connect in one spot, Cecile's going to connect in another, and John's going to connect in another? Because we're all unique, right? So my name is a symbol of who I am, and in some sense it's a brand of who I am. We've each got a brand, and companies often do this branding thing very well out into the marketplace because they think about that. They think about the economics of that. But then we've all heard the term, our people are our most important asset, right? But how often do companies forget to really care for that and to really invest in that, into the rituals, the behaviors, systems and processes, yes, but what are those systems and processes supporting, and who is the mechanism that's operating that? So we've got to put these things in context. Symbols are often dense, usually dense, with layers of meaning that get lost sometimes over time. So the peace symbol we're all fairly familiar with, but it actually tracks back to a religious, multiple places actually, but a religious context that has been frankly lost, except to the degree that peace is somehow spiritual. They're universal and primal. When we see them, we understand immediately what they mean. They don't need explanation. They don't need significant explanation within our tribe. Now, if you go outside of the tribe, perhaps they do. But there's power in that also, because when we have to explain a symbol, we're really telling stories. We're talking about what is meaningful to us and what happens. And that's important these days because there's research out now showing this, but I think we all know intuitively too, particularly if you've got teenagers, that many times this technology that has empowered us is also separating us. We can be in the same room, but not in the same space. So if you sat at dinners where people are on their screens, or how much screen time are we spending, and how is that connecting us or is that separating us? I think there's an argument for that. We thought technology was going to do a lot of things that some it has and some I think it hasn't. My opinion is that it has not particularly brought us together in a human sense. It has enabled things to get done. It's enabled us to be efficient in some way, but I think there's an opportunity to re-engage in a face-to-face manner. Because what we're seeing in organizations is that people are saying they're not engaged. Humans, individuals are saying, I'm not engaged with the work that I'm doing right now. And why? You know, if we know about employee engagement, if we know about technology, if we know about the issue, why is it that its scores are flat at best, if not down? What's happening? I think it's complex, like a lot of the issues that we deal with, but I think that I want to talk about some ways, and in some successful ways that symbols have been used to connect humans, and to get back to a place where we're talking and we're breathing in the same space and we're connecting face to face and eye to eye and we're listening, because I think that's what we want at our core, is to be known and to know others, and I think that strengthens organizations. So what do symbols look like in today's organization? It's funny, I promise I did not rearrange slides or create slides after Chris talked this morning, but some of the examples are eerily similar. So in Ford, you know, the evolution of the Model T, you can have it in black if you want a car. It grows much more from that now inside the Ford organization. What do you do to create symbols that connect? Digging into the history of an organization. If an organization were to start from scratch and say, okay, well, great, who am I? What do I do? Jeff Bezos at Amazon, when he started the company, this is the desk that Jeff worked at. And that desk is famous inside the organization. It's actually a door. It's called the door desk, and he very handily put some brackets on it, and that now has been recreated as an award inside Amazon for actually technological innovation inside their organization. Cinemark Theaters, a large international theater chain. The interesting thing is that leadership inside Cinemark, the leaders inside the theaters, all come from the popcorn sellers and the ticket sellers. They're typically young high school or college age kids, and they know that's where their leadership's going to come from, but they don't know who it is. So in this room full of popcorn sellers, there may be 2 or 3 future theater managers, but don't know who they are. So what they did was create symbols that attached to the company's past. And they trained managers that when they were recognizing these young theater ticket sellers to tell their story. So the managers would tell their story about when they were in that job, and they begin to connect to the culture of the organization. The Ritz-Carlton, very famously, ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine being a Ritz-Carlton employee with that responsibility of being called a gentleman, asked to serve another gentleman, what that does to their service? Greyhound bus lines, Chris this morning talked about, we heard about the younger flight to urbanization, not as many people interested in driving, and the reduction in younger people on the road in particular. Dave Leach, the president of Greyhound Bus Lines, says this is a huge opportunity for them. They actually were in serious financial trouble about 10 years ago. They've now pulled out of that in part because of this growth of business opportunity. But the interesting thing is what Dave has done is a bit of marketing. He's redesigned some buses. This is a very old Greyhound bus. But he has invested into the culture of the organization. Greyhound is a very, very rich and deep culture. They were founded back post-World War I. Their roots go back there, but they have hauled people across country to meet family members. They have taken servicemen to and from the battlefields. They've connected the country before airlines set in. And the drivers are the rock stars inside Greyhound. And so this is one of my favorite pictures of, actually we do some work with them, but my favorite picture of this guy, the clear pride he has in being a Greyhound bus driver. So that's the lever that the president of the organization is pulling, is that engagement lever, that how can we tell stories within the organization to connect people to the heart of who we are, and those symbols around the ways that that driver was dressed, the way he had certain pins on, the way his hat looked, is symbolic. It doesn't mean much to us, but that means a great deal to the people inside Greyhound bus lines. So amateur athletes will work a lifetime to earn an Olympic medal, the symbol of that. Professional athletes are paid 7-digit, 8-digit sums of money, but the thing they talk about is a World Cup trophy, is the thing that symbolizes their, and gives you a picture of what they've actually done, not their bank account. So organizations, if they will look into their history and find the stories that can then be attached to symbols and communicate the opportunities for people to be who they are inside an enterprise, I think will reach a great deal of success and be places where people can connect, can breathe, can be who they are, and I think will have a great opportunity to be better places to be. So thank you very much.